Before my sister's wedding, I saw my card was charged for the entire reception. She smirked and called me a loser. I smiled and said, you'll love what happens next. Before my sister's wedding, I saw my card was charged for the entire reception. She smirked and said, you're a loser who doesn't even have a family. It's the least you can do. I smiled and said, and you'll love what happens next. The next morning, every call, every text was about the venue, the bill, the mix-up. And when they finally reached me, I simply canceled the charge. My sister Paige has been the golden child for as long as I can remember. She's 3 years younger, always louder, always more dramatic, always the center of whatever room she walked into. My parents adored her. Everything Paige wanted, Paige got. When I graduated college, they came to the ceremony late and left early because Paige had a hair appointment. When I started my own consulting business, nobody asked a single question about it. When I hit my first six-figure year, my dad said, must be nice, and changed the subject. When Paige announced her engagement, the entire family reorganized their lives. I'm 34 and single. I've been focused on my company for the last 6 years. I've done well. I own my apartment, I drive a nice car, and I have a healthy savings account. My family knows this because every time someone needs money, they call me. I've paid for my dad's knee surgery, my mom's new appliances, and Paige's college loans. Not loans she couldn't afford. Loans she didn't feel like paying because she'd rather spend her money on clothes and vacations. I paid off $22,000 in student debt that wasn't mine. 3 months before Paige's wedding, she asked me if I'd let her put the catering deposit on my credit card. She said her fiance's accounts were tied up in a house purchase and she'd pay me back within 2 weeks. I said fine. The deposit was $3,500. I expected that charge and nothing else. 2 weeks before the wedding, I checked my credit card statement. There was a charge for $26,800. I called the card company. They confirmed it. The charge came from the reception venue. The full balance for the catering, the bar, the rentals, the decorations, everything. $26,800 on my card. I called Paige. She picked up laughing. She was getting her nails done. I heard salon noise in the background. I said, there's a $26,800 charge on my card from your venue. She said, yeah. I gave them your card number for the rest of the balance. You said I could use it for the wedding. I said I could use it for the deposit, Paige. The deposit, not the entire reception. She got quiet for about 1 second. Then she said the thing I'll never forget. You don't even have a family. You're alone. No wife, no kids, nothing. The least you can do is help the one person in this family who actually has a life worth celebrating. I didn't respond right away. I let the silence hang. Then I said, you'll love what happens next. She laughed. What's that supposed to mean? I hung up. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just hung up the phone and sat at my desk for about 5 minutes staring at nothing. Then I called my credit card company and disputed the $26,800 charge. I explained that I authorized a $3,500 deposit and nothing more. The full charge was unauthorized. They opened a dispute and initiated a chargeback. The venue was notified the next morning that the payment was being reversed. The venue called Paige. Paige called my mom. My mom called my dad. My dad called me. All before 9 a.m. My phone rang 14 times in 1 hour. Texts flooded in. Paige was screaming in a voicemail that lasted 3 full minutes. She said I was ruining her wedding. She said I was petty and jealous and alone for a reason. She said no wonder nobody wants to marry you. My mom called next. She was crying. She said, how could you do this to your sister? She needs this. I said, she charged $26,800 to my card without my permission and then called me a loser for not having a family. That's fraud and an insult in the same conversation. She said, she's your sister. I said, she called me a loser with no family and told me paying for her wedding was the least I could do. Is that how a sister talks? My mom didn't have an answer for that. My dad called an hour later. He tried the calm approach. He said, son, the wedding is in 12 days. The venue won't hold the reservation without payment. Can we work something out? I said, Paige has a fiance with a house purchase going through. She has a job. You and mom have savings. Figure it out the way every other family does when they plan a wedding, without stealing from the one person who's always paid for everything. He went quiet. I said, I've paid for your surgery, mom's kitchen, Paige's student loans, and now she puts $26,800 on my card and calls me a loser? I'm done being the bank. Paige's fiance ended up covering the venue with a personal loan. The wedding happened. I wasn't invited. My mom said it would be too tense. I spent that Saturday on my couch eating Chinese food and watching college football. It was the most relaxed weekend I'd had in years. Paige hasn't spoken to me since. Her husband hasn't either. My mom texts me once a week like nothing happened. She sends family photos from dinners I wasn't invited to. My dad called last Sunday and asked if I'd help them with a plumbing bill. I said no. He said, you've changed. I said, no, Dad. I just stopped paying for it.